Good early afternoon. We are live. It's Tuesday. I'm Andy Andrews. You joined us on the Blue Plate Special. We are broadcasting live to wisdomharbor.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, for all you people in ties, YouTube, X, and probably several other places around the globe. Joy Walker, greetings from Georgia. Heather Olson, you shared in Utah. Thank you. Yeah, a crazy couple of weeks. Rain, wind, lightning. Much needed. What? The rain, the wind, or the lightning? I'm assuming the rain. I'm assuming you could do without the wind and the lightning. But anyway, glad you got some out there. Sharon Smith, greetings from Nebraska. You corn husker. Serena Garner from Ferndale, Arkansas. And you shared with the masses. Thank you so much for doing that. Heather, will you please tell Austin, we saw Shaky Graves last night? Wow. I will tell him that. He will be excited about that. And yeah, I can't wait till Austin gets out your way too. You know, he's doing 20 dates this August. In August, doing 20 days. I need to put on our website his schedule because, you know, he's Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and so somebody could see him. Gina Lynn Green, hello. Diana Weiss from Lafayette, Indiana. Had a bunch of people from Indiana tuning in lately. Becky Norman Sandland from Omaha, Nebraska, another Cornhusker there. Omaha. You know what I always think of when I think of Omaha?
What's that?
Mutual of Omaha, which makes me think of the Wild Kingdom. Then don't tell me you don't know anything about the Wild Kingdom.
I don't.
Matthew, good grief, you are just a youngster. You don't know who Marlon Perkins is or Jim?
Is he related to Kevin?
No. Christy Woods, hello. Christy brought our lunch to the studio yesterday. So thank you, Crisco. We're going to do kind of a different show today. We're going to talk about misconceptions, but not just regular old misconceptions. We're going to talk about misconceptions that people have about animals. You know, I got to Googling this and studying this, and I found that there were several things that I believed growing up that are evidently not true. And the first one is there's a misconception that birds will abandon their babies if you touch them. It's not true. I know your mama told you that. I know your daddy told you that. Don't touch them. But birds can't smell, can they? I don't think birds can smell or taste, which is why if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you can buy bird feed that has peppers in it. You can buy bird feed that's been soaked in Tabasco sauce or something to keep the squirrels from getting it. And so surely if they could taste, they wouldn't eat it. And if they could smell, they wouldn't eat it. So how are they going to smell human hands on a baby bird? I mean, birds are better parents than the myth gives them credit for. They won't leave their babies if a human touches the nest. And everything I found said if you happen to find a baby bird, specifically one that has fallen from the nest, the best thing you can do is put it back in the nest. Or if you can't find the nest, in a safe, shaded spot where the mother can obsess over it and scream and crack at you and dive bomb on you. But, I mean, I'm not thinking the mother's going to get the baby back in the nest. So she's just going to continue to feed it while it's on a branch? Maybe if it's a shady branch. Did you ever get little baby birds when you were little and try to feed them with a dropper?
I do feel like that happened. We had cats, so there's several
Too young to remember it.
there's several animals we've fed with eyedroppers that they've brought: mice, rabbits, birds.
What do you feed a cat in an eyedropper? A little bird? We used to feed baby birds with eyedroppers, and evidently we were feeding them the wrong thing because we never could get them to live past a day, you know.
I remember what we fed one of the baby birds we got was we had a fish tank with frogs, and you ever seen those little cubes that are little bloody worms, and you drop it in the tank and they separate and the frogs eat all the little worms? We thawed one of those out and fed it to a little bird. He ate them.
You fed frog food to a bird?
I mean, it's worms. Birds like worms.
The early bird always gets the worm. But I always think about what about the worm? He showed up early too, and he got ate alive for his troubles. All right, here's a misconception. People have heard forever, I've heard forever, that goats eat tin cans. I mean, that's just like a cliche, right? I mean, if you see a cartoon picture of a goat, he's probably got a can in his mouth. And I guess the myth that goats will eat everything, even tin cans, probably started because goats are such nuts. They're just nutty creatures. In a way, they're like little baby kids. You know, they get into everything. They stick random objects in their mouth. They climb on things they shouldn't. But when it comes to food, they're evidently kind of picky eaters who seek out certain types of nutrition, but that doesn't include metal. You know what goats will eat? In national parks, they have they have teams of goats that they put in areas with poison ivy, because goats will take out that poison ivy. So that doesn't sound like a picky eater to me, eating poison ivy. You know, my granddaddy was not allergic to poison ivy, and he once won a bet chewing a mouthful of poison ivy.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you better be sure you're not allergic to it. I guess he was sure.
I guess so. I missed a 5th grade field trip due to poison ivy.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You chewed it?
I did.
Chewed it?
Got it all over my face, though.
You have a goat story?
Goat story?
Yeah. I just figured almost everybody has a goat story.
I
You
don't
not
think I
have a
do.
goat story?
I haven't been around a lot of goats.
I got a goat story. When Polly and I first got married, she had a friend. Well, she still got this friend. I mean, Roy Van Davender is like a friend of both of ours. But Roy and his wife, Darlene, had just gotten married. And Darlene they lived out in the country. And Darlene had a red Corvette. And Roy was on the phone one day and looked out the window, and there were goats on top of that Corvette. So they'd climbed to the highest thing around, which was that Corvette, and they left hoof prints. They dented, or whatever you do to Corvette's finish, but they totally messed up. And Roy said when he had to tell the insurance company it was goat damage. I mean, that's just funny to me. Goat damage. I had a Irish setter chew up my phone one time when I was in college, and they replaced it, which I wasn't expecting them to, but they replaced it. They said we only replace dog damaged phones once, so I guess there's a history there with that. So, that myth that dogs don't eat telephones, that's a myth, because they do eat telephones. They do eat them. All right, here's a misconception about dogs. and I've heard this one all my life, and that is that dogs age 7 years for every human year, right? You heard that? Okay, according to the American Kennel Club, this formula has been around since the 1950s, but it's not accurate. And some speculate that the rough estimate was created to help educate people on their pets' lifespans, but people at the time realized that dogs generally made it to around 10 years old, while humans lived to about 70. And so that's how they overgeneralized, I guess, that math. And these days, there are better ways to calculate dog years, but all of it depends on the size of a dog, because little dogs live longer, big dogs live shorter lifespans. But in the first year, in a medium dog's life, which you pick whatever you want to pick as a medium dog, but in a medium dog's life, the first year equals to about 15 human years. Year 2 equals about 9 years. And after that, it's roughly 5 human years per year. But you know, when you think about it, you think about your dog at 1 year old. It's like a teenager. You know, it's like real boisterous and still kind of willful and half trained, like a teenager. But that's the only time that dogs are like teenagers. Because I think for the most part, raising a dog would equip you to raise a toddler, a 3 or 4 year old. But having cats, that's like having teenagers. You know, Jeff Allen said, I thought this was just brilliant. Jeff is a comedian, contributor to Wisdom Harbor, and he said after raising his teenagers that he felt like he could accurately project that Satan was 15 years old when God kicked him out of heaven. Because he said, it just makes sense that you would have a 15-year-old that would rebel and deny your existence. Okay, misconception number 7. These are the top 10, going 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 7, the misconception is that owls are wise. They're not. Now, I'm not saying they're stupid, but they're not smart. I mean, they're great hunters, but they're not the best problem solvers. I saw this study. I was reading through this study that found that great horned owls and gray owls repeatedly bombed what should have been a very simple cognitive test, and that is pull a string, get a treat. And owls couldn't figure that out. So, I guess it's hard to determine how wise an animal is based on human standards. I mean, owls are good hunters, which you could say is I don't know if that's a form of intelligence. I think it's probably a form of instinct. I think it would be incorrect to think of them as some kind of avian intelligence outlier, though, because but it's believed that the origin of the wise owl thing is because they were often associated with Athena, the ancient Greek goddess of wisdom, and she had owls. I don't think it has anything to do with the owl in Winnie the Pooh. I think that's just another part of the myth. All right, here's a misconception. Now, this one will get you. You ready for number 6? This one will get you. The misconception is that squirrels are herbivores. That squirrels are vegetarians. And you've probably seen squirrels stashing acorns or eating your bird seed, hanging up upside down from the bird feeder. But evidently, those aren't the only things squirrels like to eat. Now, if I had just read this, I would probably be calling BS on Wikipedia. But I saw pictures of this. Yeah, squirrels eat evidently a lot of seeds and nuts, and so, but they also eat meat. Now, I'm not saying they sit down to a steak dinner, but they're incredibly opportunistic. They will raid bird nests for eggs. They'll raid bird nests for baby birds. In fact, I wonder if some of the baby birds you see on the ground got knocked out because of squirrels. But they'll even scavenge pieces of roadkill. They'll eat insects. And this is the part that I would have said no. They will even eat small snakes if they can catch them. And there's several pictures online of a squirrel sitting up on his back legs eating a snake. That's bizarre, isn't it? Now, I think I would rather, that song, Ray Stevens song, Mississippi Squirrel Revival. Oh, come on, really?
I might recognize it if I heard. Let me look it up.
The day the squirrel went berserk in the Pentecostal Baptist church, something like that. You ran up somebody's leg or something. You got it?
I'd take a trip every summer down to Mississippi, visit my granny and antebellum world.
Yeah, I like it. I wonder if that's enough for Facebook to knock us off the air.
Could be.
But I understand getting freaked out with a squirrel going up your leg. I think I would rather. Now, I'm just imagining myself defending myself against like a German Shepherd or something. And I would feel much more comfortable with a German Shepherd lunging at me and being able to reach out and grab that big old neck or stick my hand down his throat. I would feel a lot more comfortable defending myself against a German Shepherd than I would a squirrel. I don't want a squirrel after me. How are you going to block those little teeth? That thing comes at you like that. How are you going to block those little teeth? I mean, you put your hands up and you it's like a little piranha. It's like, would you rather be killed by a shark or a school of piranhas? Give me a shark. One bite, I'm gone. But don't nibble me to death. And that's what I think squirrels are doing. Squirrels are the piranhas of the mammal world. And I think that when they get that thing, and how many times have you been in the woods if you're a hunter? How many times have you been in the woods, you've been in a tree stand, and the squirrel starts up there, and he's barking at you and waggling his tail and fluffing his tail, and he's kind of coming down, and he comes on down the tree, then he comes out a limb. Then he comes down. I mean, you're staying still, and that squirrel will come right up to you, and it freaks me out. I don't like that. I mean, you don't want to move when you're deer hunting, but I can't help but go like that, and those squirrels they'll turn inside out. I mean, if they're right there and you turn and go like that, that squirrel will literally it will be wearing its fur inside out. They'll turn inside out, getting away from you. But if you let them go up your pants leg, you're just asking for it. I'm just saying. Okay, number 5, misconception. This is number 5. We're on the downside, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the misconception about animals the misconception is that, and this is just kind of a semantics thing. Because I saw this and I thought, well, what's the misconception about that? And the misconception is that cougars are universally considered to be big cats. Okay, so what's wrong with that? I mean, I always considered them big cats. And according to zoologists, their classification varies depending on the source. And though they're bigger than some big cats, cougars are not considered the smallest of the big cats. They are considered the largest of the small cats. Now that's just ridiculous. That distinction is often made because they're not a member of Panthera. You know, Panthera leo is the lion. Panthera tigre, or whatever, is probably the tiger. I don't know that for sure, but Panthera sylvester is probably a house cat. But they're not considered a large cat because they're not part of Panthera. So they're not the smallest of the big cats. They're the largest of the small cats. Which to me, that's just information somebody came up with just to fill a biology curriculum. I mean, they thought, we ain't got enough to teach here. I mean, once you learn cats, dogs, giraffes, mules, horses, there's not enough to teach here. And so somebody came up with all that classification stuff with the different names, the Latin names. I don't even think Latin people called them by the Latin names. Even Latin America, I don't think they use those. Do you? I mean, in Mexico, do you think they're using the Latin American names for animals? No, it's just cat, dog, perro, pera. This is starting to bug me now. I'm just on number 4 and it's already bugging me. Okay, here's the misconception. The misconception is that all bees are busy. If you're somebody who works hard or you keep a full schedule, you probably heard somebody say you are busy as a bee. You are a busy bee. But I've also heard people say busy as a beaver. So it makes me wonder if they were meaning to say you're busy as a beaver, but they just abbreviated it. And somebody thought they were talking about the insect. You're busy as a bee. Ever? No, just a bee. I mean, it's true that some bees, like honeybees and bumblebees, are busy, but not all species are. You know, a lot of male bees get to take it pretty easy while they're in the nest, according to a study that was done. You know, and you wonder, when was this study done? 2014 is when it was this study was done. They glued tags onto bees. Man, you got to have good eyes and steady hands to glue a tag on a bee. I mean, just to even see the legs. But 2014, they glued tags. And 20% of the foraging workforce accounted for 50% of the total flight activity. And when researchers removed those busy bees from the population, the remaining subjects kind of compensated for their absence by becoming more productive, which is maybe a lesson for anybody who's used to doing all the work on a group project. maybe remove yourself, and we'll see these other people stick up. But here is the greatest bee fact that I could give you. If individual bees were paid minimum wage, if individual bees were paid minimum wage, a quart of honey would cost $187,000. I just made that up, but that sounds good, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound good? I mean, if individual bees were paid minimum wage, a quart of honey would cost $187,000. You think you can say that with a straight face to somebody tonight at the dinner table? You know, something interesting I found out today. You think about bees in a beehive or bees in a bee tree. If individual bees were clocked in and out and paid minimum wage for their working time, a quart of honey would cost $187,000. Let me know if you can do that with a straight face. And those of you who can do it several times today, that's the blue ribbon there. That's the blue ribbon. And all you need to confirm your effectiveness is to have somebody go, really? And you can say, no, I just made that up. All right, here's a misconception. Are you having a good time or are you bored? We got three more. Are you going to be able to make it? All right. Here is a misconception. Sharks can smell a drop of blood from a mile away. All right, now, I got to say, first of all, of course that's a misconception. Because how would you test that? How would you test that? Okay, find me a shark and just watch him, because I'm going to go, when I get to be exactly a mile away, I'm going to put a drop of blood in the water and just let's see what he does. I mean, how are you going to test that? Now, somebody's going to tell me there's some scientific way that you can take, that you can extrapolate a little piece of blood and put it 100 feet away, and that would be like a drop of blood a mile away or something. I mean, somebody's going to try to tell me that. But from a mile away, I mean, if you somehow cut yourself and start bleeding while you're in the ocean, it's not going to act like a beacon to all the sharks within a few miles. I mean, oh, that's 3 drops. That's 3 miles. Yeah, I don't know. Sharks do have excellent senses of smell. But just how good their smell is depends on the species. In general, though, sharks can smell blood. Now, see, here's the thing. This gets into, this is just crap, okay? And I hate to say that we're just presenting crap on here, but I mean, here they're telling us it's a misconception that sharks can smell blood, a drop of blood from a mile away. They're telling us that's a misconception. But in reality, they tell us sharks can only smell a drop of blood from a quarter mile away. I think that's just as bogus as a mile away. How are you gonna test that? And besides, sharks don't need to sniff blood to find their next meal. I mean, they don't need to. I mean, because they've got this echolocation thing that when a fish flops in the water, or you are paddling your surfboard acting like a seal, I mean, they hear that. They can hear that. And they can hear one paddle from up to a mile away. Not really, I just made that up too. But they are able to. Now, this stuff I found said that their electrosensory organs are so highly sensitive that they can detect a prey's heartbeat. I mean, drop of blood a mile away, detect the heartbeat. I mean, what are you detecting there? I'm detecting his heartbeat. What are you going to do? Ask them? How do you know they're detecting the heartbeat? How do you know they're not just detecting the thrashing? It's worth saying, though, that sharks likely will have very little interest in you unless you're a seal, or sound like a seal, or look like a seal, or if they're stupid and they just think you're a seal. Otherwise, you're pretty safe, I think. I mean, around here, they say you got a better chance of dying getting stung by a bee than you have of getting eaten with a shark. Maybe that's because for every 100 people that are in the water, there's 50,000 on the land around bees. Anybody ever thought of that? I'm just saying, I got 0% chance of dying from a shark attack. I've seen too many sharks out there. I don't get in the water. I don't get in salt water. I mean, you could shake some salt in the bathtub. I wouldn't get in it. I've seen way too many big sharks. Look at this. Look at this. That's my son Adam. He is releasing that 12-foot 3-inch tiger shark. He caught him from the beach, and he is releasing it to swim again with you. "12-foot 3-inch tiger shark." The chart said it was 1,050 pounds. Okay, here's a misconception. It is a misconception to believe that white rhinos are white. Turns out that in Afrikaans, what they were saying was a wide rhino. And somebody thought they were saying white. That's the theory anyway. But just like a bald eagle, a white rhino is kind of misleading. Because look at them. They're clearly not white. They're gray. And so it's a Dutch or Afrikaans word for wide. But that, even that explanation is probably dubious. Because do you know what color black rhinos are? Gray. So black rhinos and white rhinos are gray. And then this last one, and I guess we'll just end on this. We appreciate you being with us today. We'll be back Thursday for the Wisdom Harbor version, just broadcasting to Wisdom Harbor. And so if you're not a member of Wisdom Harbor, $27 a year, come on. And, and sign your school up while you're at it. Every teacher in a school system, $27 per teacher per year. And so, come on. But we'll see you Thursday for that. That just broadcast Thursday. Our blue plate special just broadcast to Wisdom Harbor. And here is a fact. This is not a misconception. It's just a fact. And that is that, and I was talking with Adam, my fishing son, about this the other day. Due to the shape of a red snapper's throat, were they able to talk? Due to the shape of their throat, a red snapper would be unable to pronounce the word esophagus. I think that's absolutely true. I made it up, but could you refute it? I made it up. But that's got to be absolutely true. Due to the shape of their throats, were red snapper able to talk, they would be unable to pronounce the word esophagus. Now that's something I think you need to know. I think if you add that with the B hourly wages thing, if you add that to your information at the dinner table, here's something else I found out. The red snapper, due to the shape of their throats, if they were able to talk, if they were able to, due to the shape of their throats, they would be unable to pronounce the word esophagus. Now see if you can get a, really? And then you can tell them, no, just made that up. Well, this has been a particularly stupid version of the Blue Plate Special. We appreciate you tuning in today. We'll see if we can have something a little more intelligent for you on Thursday. But you know us, maybe not. We'll see you then.